I'm a believer that this team's going to win the national championship.
Something stupid is coming out of his mouth.
I don't know. Maybe it's just my age. He needs his vote pulled immediately. And of course, yes, a season like this has to have a name.
Let's talk about something good about Justin Freck. What are you doing?
The season of dreams. Ohio State, my guys, are either the best or the second best program in the history of college football.
This guy is a bonehead. They love him.
I question your judgment as an adult. I really do.
I was a total hater. I know that for a fact, and I just don't get it.
Get us back our sleeves.
And say, bring me that. That's the one I want. How we doing, guys? Buckeyes, 45-0, and we are watching the Canes try to come back on Virginia Tech. They're down 28-23 with 2 minutes left. Absolutely. Thank you so much to my man Shepherd Ducks. There is no way I would have caught that. And Cooter Cat, you guys are the best. And hey, man, just another day in Juckeye Studios. That's how it goes down here. But a really fun game for the Buckeyes. And coming into a game like this, what do we want to see? Young guys play. Buckeyes put foot on throat very quick, playing depth, getting all those guys in, and it is absolutely. Sometimes we don't see that. We see a game like this, it stays a little closer, longer than we want to. We don't get to see the young guys in there. We did today. That was awesome. And we saw it early as Edric Houston gets his first start, starts on the inside. Tyleik Williams does not play. We saw Jermaine Matthews in very early. We saw CJ Hicks playing early. He's not technically a young guy, but a depth guy at this point. And I think we got a lot of entertainment out of this one. Bucks defense starts with a sack. JT and Cody. Cody comes on a blitz. JT beats his man. That was fun to see. Immediately they come back on offense. And I think we saw one of the prettiest catches and throws we've seen all year from Will Howard to JJ on the left sideline. Unbelievable catch and tiptoes inbounds, both feet. It was fantastic. But they do, G. Scott misses a pass on that. Well, it was a bit of a high throw. It hit him in the hands. So the Bucks get pulled off the field. And that possession, we've been talking, one of my questions heading into the game was I do 10 questions heading into the game. One of them was, would we finally see a big special teams play? And we got it. Purdue's second possession, they go 3 and out, and Caden Curry blocks a punt. Finally, a big special teams possession or special teams play. That was fantastic to see. And the Bucks get it in tight, and it takes 4 downs, but Will Howard punches it in, and the percentage of touchdowns down in the red zone that the Buckeyes have versus field goals, it's been crazy this year. And we talked about it all offseason, thanks to our buddy Woody's here, who tracked all of Kansas State's possession last year, watched every single game because he had to parse out the series that Avery Johnson was in there. And Will Howard, when leading the Kansas State offense, 42 touchdowns out of 50 possessions. That blew away the second place team in that statistic by 5 percentage points. And like number 2 to 10, they were all separated by 5 total points. Kansas State was a huge outlier. And the combination of Will Howard and Chip Kelly and the way the offensive line is playing, by the way, guys, they were fantastic today. Really love seeing them get another opportunity to kind of sync up. And they played pretty late. We had the Carson Hinsman injury scare, but it appears he's okay. But Purdue's third possession of the game, we saw something we were told we would not see this year, which when I saw it, I did a double take. I couldn't believe it. Mitchell Melton, for 2 plays, was in as the jack, and that just blew me back. Chris and I talked on Friday with the moving officially Edric Houston inside. It really leaves, he was your most promising young guy on the edge, and it leaves you at a lack of bodies, a lack of talent out there on the edge. You got Caden Curry, you got Kenyatta, and not much after them. And we were talking, could this potentially be, maybe we see next year CJ move down, maybe we see portal guy, which I still think we will, or maybe we see an implementation of some different schemes to get around it. Maybe we see the jack. We were talking about next year just kicking it around. Certainly did not expect to see it this game. I absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. Even if it's just to, throw them off, make defenses or make offenses have to plan for you in a different way, show some multiplicity. I thought it was great, getting more creative, seeing that. And we were told that we would not see that. So they did show it. It showed back up later on in the second half as well. That time with CJ Hicks playing it. And Joel Klatt clearly does not like it. He doesn't like it. He wanted to make sure that he pointed out that the runs were successful when the Buckeyes lined up with the Jack. And the one that he was pointing out in the second half was a run to the outside that was a bad contain job by Caden Curry, and Malik Hartford over pursued. It had nothing to do with that alignment of the Jack, but he wanted to make sure he pointed that out. Purdue comes down, has a chance to go for it on the 3-yard line on 4th down, and they choose to kick a field goal, and they miss the field goal, and they absolutely deserve to miss that field goal. I cannot stand it when we see a big underdog come into Ohio Stadium and they don't try to score touchdowns. They want to save themselves from a shutout, the embarrassment of the shutout, and attempt to kick a field goal. Later on in the first quarter, we saw Edric Houston, who got his first start, obviously, today. He got laid down on, and he got pissed off, got up, took a penalty, shoved the guy on his back, 15-yarder, keeps the possession going. I thought it was fantastic. I was happy to see him show some emotion. He brought juice all day. He got it. He got his punishment for it, but it was cool to see. I think we got a real good one in there, man. This guy is physically different. I spent a day down at the Woody right before the preseason, and Edric Houston, out of all the guys on that team, just really stood out to me as just different physically. And as a freshman with that roster, that's saying something. Dude's got hands like catcher's mitts. He looks like two people from the back of his chest, or the back of his back to the front of his chest. Just a different dude. And I'm really happy that he's getting playing time, happy that he's getting in there. And I love the juice that he plays with. He's awesome. We saw some great runs by Trey Henderson today. He is running like a man possessed. Some really good runs by Q, physical runs. JJ had 7 targets at halftime. 7 targets, 6 receptions, gets back on the touchdown train. Last week was the first time he had not scored a touchdown all year. So very happy to see that. And that touchdown pass that he had, just a straight cross, and this DB could not come within, 3 yards of him the whole time. It was amazing. It was just pure speed. And the people that have knocked JJ to try to say, okay, you guys are overplaying him, he's overblown, have tried to do it by saying he doesn't have elite speed. We don't see a lot of these testing numbers, but we see the GPS things. And Ohio State said whatever they said about his GPS. But when we see that tested, I've seen it a couple times. I've seen it up to like 21.5 or maybe 22. I don't put much credence into any of that. It's plays like that one right there that show off that elite speed. When that DB, they said right in the broadcast, he was from Georgia, so you assume he's probably a high grade recruit, probably got some wheels. He's playing DB, gets a scholarship to Georgia. That's a fast kid. JJ smoked him, absolutely smoked him. My key target for JJ Smith every week is 6 targets. I want to see him get 6 targets. Anything less, I feel, is unacceptable for the best wide receiver in college football, maybe the best offensive weapon in college football, and getting that in the first half. A couple times we've seen that this year. Really like that. No catches for Emeka in the first half. The second half starts with Gus talking about Carnell Tate's tragic loss of his mother. I don't know how many people know that story. But I kind of like that he brought that up and let people know that. I think Carnell is an awesome kid. I think he's a great wide receiver. And coincidentally, right after Gus was talking about that, we see just target after target and catch after catch by Carnell. But before the catches, we saw an inexcusable underthrow to Carnell, who beat his man so far down that he had time to almost come to a complete stop to wait for the ball to come back down. And this is just, it's getting tiresome, man. You'd like to see Will hit a couple of these. We saw last week, the one was JJ's fault, but consistently underthrowing these balls. And I just don't get it. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. Surely we would like to see that improve in his game. But all in all, Will played a pretty excellent game. Stats wise, he was 21 of 26 for 260, 3 touchdowns, 1 touchdown on the ground. So not a lot to complain about it. He did slip. That is, I don't feel like we've seen that in a couple of games, but it was a real problem early on in the season. Constant slipping. Ross Bjork addressed it with a company, had a company come in, and they said that there was too much overfill, so too much rubber pellets in it. And the rubber pellets, obviously used to keep the blades kind of standing up, also give it some cushion. There was too much, so it makes sense that the guys' contacts, their cleats were contacting too much of that rubber, and the rubber was slipping out from under their cleats. So they took a machine and they took up a bunch of those rubber pellets. But enough is enough, man. This has got to go. They're building a big suite that is going to be like a restaurant club for tens of millions of dollars in the stadium. The Minnesota Vikings built their brand new stadium. They put in slit film turf, the same style that the Buckeyes use at the Shoe. And after the NFLPA came out to try to ban that turf, Minnesota replaced it. And they bit the bullet, replaced their brand new turf. It cost them $1.3 million. $1.3 million. Is it worth it? I think it is. I think that the playing surface at the stadium is of the utmost importance. I think it's priority number one. And these guys continually slip. It doesn't even look good. It's dangerous. It's not as safe as the monofilament. It's time to change this. I really hope that they do. We saw Lathan Ransom with the sweet pick. I was checking the turnovers earlier on this week. Last year, the Buckeyes had 11 turnovers on the season, and that was a big point of emphasis this year. They wanted to make sure that they upped the turnovers. This year, heading into the game, they had already tied that margin, so they had 11 with a +1 turnover margin. We'd like to see it more than the +1. You get the pick by Lathan, and then you got a great play by JT, who blew up his block, causes a fumble, and Captain Jack picks up the fumble, returns it for a touchdown, and we have got Georgia Tech first and goal, up 28-23 with 1:18 left, and Miami is going to go down. How about that? And the ACC is going to get a lot more interesting now as SMU undefeated in the ACC, and Clemson with just one loss in conference. So Clemson and Miami will both have one loss in the ACC. SMU now looks like a lock to get to the ACC championship game, and Clemson and Miami will duke it out for that second berth in that ACC championship game, as SMU has a really easy schedule down the stretch here. So they're in the driver's seat, which is pretty crazy. Their coach, Rhett Lashley, a big time up and comer, and I think that he is going to get a big time job at some point. Anyway, this game had all the recipes to be a snoozer in the Shoe, late game or early game, later in the season with a crappy opponent after you've played some exciting games. And I thought that the crowd really brought the juice today at the Shoe. I was really impressed. It was really loud on my end. So really happy to see that. We got to see a clip of Ryan Day from college with Chip Kelly on the sidelines, and copyright be damned. I'm
Ryan Day was playing Joel. He had some hands as well.
Yeah, let's go. This is like before Philly Special was Philly Special. It was Ryan Day, and then watch this. Bam!
Woo!
He's trying to run people over at the goal line, which doesn't surprise you if you know Ryan at all. There's
Now, I bet a lot of people who call Ryan Day soft are going to look at that and maybe think of him in a different light, huh? RD brought the boom on that one. Pretty impressive. Emeka got into the action with a touchdown at the start of the fourth quarter, and that made it 45-0. Buckeyes defense comes back out, and that's when they use the jack look again, that time with CJ Hicks. And again, really exciting stuff. Some big plays today. You had the JJ to Will with that first reception, JTT's first sack with Cody, Sonny with that tipped ball. Sonny came off and was rushing, tipped the ball as Purdue was down in the red zone. That was a really good play. The Caden Curry blocked punt, Lathan's pick, Jack's scoop and score, JJ's touchdown. And let's get to some of our questions for the game. Oh, we got to see Devin Brown and Julian Sayin today. That was interesting. Neither of them really played fantastic, but I felt bad for Devin, as Devin comes in, same old problem we get every time out of Devin. Comes in, gets the opportunity, third down, he gets the opportunity to sling it. He throws short of the sticks, ball travels less than 10 yards in the air, overthrow. It's like he just can't settle himself down. Either his first ball or his first 5 balls are too high every time he comes in. So That was the only possession that he got. And, is this what happened, Chad? Miami fumbled? Wow, that's unbelievable. Ken says, my only complaint really is Will Howard not being able to push the ball down the field. Yeah. I mean, he's pretty damn good at everything else. Yeah. Boy, do you think they will? For the record, Chris and I made our picks on Friday, and Chris picked against his boys. I picked Georgia Tech plus 11. He said Miami was going to blow him out of the stadium. So chalk that up as an L for KD. And Dave says Tate has a great future ahead of him. No doubt he does. So, questions of the day. Were the Buckeyes going to run the ball? I was hoping to see 250 yards rushing. Total of 433 yards for the Buckeyes, 260 passing yards, 173 rushing yards. We had Travion Henderson, 6 attempts for 85 yards. He was running hard, had a touchdown and a long of 29. Awesome to see. Quinshawn, 11 for 32 yards. That's not great. Boy, it sure didn't feel like that to me. Felt a little better than that. We got Julian Sayin in on that run. Big third down, picks up the first down for a 19-yard scramble. Looked pretty quick doing it. That was really nice. James Peoples, 3 rushes for 12 yards, and that first one looked really good. Sam Williams-Dixon got 3 carries for 9 yards. Will Howard totaled out at 9 for 7. Those stats are so stupid for quarterbacks. I can't stand them. Receiving, the target count. JJ finishes with 7 targets, and that was at half. 7 targets at half. He didn't get another one. I don't think he played. Carnell Tate, 7 targets. Both of them had 7 targets for 6 receptions, both JJ and Carnell. JJ with 87 yards, Carnell with 56. Of course, JJ added the touchdown. Jelani Thurman caught a 20-yard ball today. That was great to see. Brandon Innes gets 1 reception on 3 targets today for 17 yards. G. Scott caught a ball. Quinshawn caught 2. Mech gets 3 targets, catches 1 for a 10-yard touchdown. Other questions I had coming from the day. An impact play from Edric Houston. Would we see one? I think we saw one. It was a really awesome run stuff where he really shed his block, took on the running back and stonewalled him. So that was great to see. Some of the young guys I was looking to see. Mylan Graham. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see Mylan, I don't think, unless you guys saw him. Julian saying Peyton Pierce. Don't think we saw Peyton. I really wanted to see Gabe Powers too. I cannot recall if Gabe Powers was in there. Towards the end, I was jotting down my notes here. Did you guys see Gabe Powers in there? Ken says it's time for Hicks to go ahead and put his hand in the dirt. He's clearly he's not a traditional linebacker, that's for sure. They've tried to stick that square peg in the round hole for long enough. Brandingo says, Juck, will there be a Black Friday sale for your merch? I don't know, bud. I'll ask the fellas over there at Columbus Apparel Co., the official sponsor of Juckonbucks College Football Show. And you guys can get all your screen printing needs from there, anything you want, as well as find a full line of Juckonbucks merchandise, which there just might be a Black Friday sale. I'll have to ask. If nothing else, maybe they'll give me a code that I can use to relay to you guys. But I appreciate you inquiring. Carson and Donnie. Obviously, we had the Carson scare. It looks like he's fine. But I was really looking to see those two gel, see them play good together, and they did. They played really good together. It was great to see them get another one. A big return. I wanted to see a big return on special teams. We did not see that. And I wanted to come out of this game feeling like the offensive line dominated, and I certainly felt like they did. So that's all my notes, guys. What do you guys got? Grant says Will slipping is killing him. It's unacceptable. It's just unacceptable. This turf is just ridiculous. Dago says bring back the grass. We've heard all their excuses about that, and it seems pretty certain that that's not happening. If nothing else, okay, fine. Just get us the monofilament turf that all the professional teams use now. It's been deemed safer by a lot of studies. It even looks better. I mean, it's just inexcusable for a couple of bucks and a couple of extra years of life. They went with the slit film turf. It's unbelievable to me. Grant said, all of Sayan's passes were nice, all dropped. I love watching him throw. It certainly looks to me like a different ball than any of the other quarterbacks for sure. He is really accurate. There definitely was some drops. Ooh. Joshua says he slips on opponent's field as well. I think it's just Will clumsy-footed at times. You know, there might be some merit to that too, for sure. I mean, if you're trying to cut too hard, it's going to happen on any kind of field. But we've seen a whole lot of those happen at Ohio Stadium, so I'm done giving that field the benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean? Like, I get your point, and I think you're probably right. That he does try to cut too hard at times. Jason says the Ole Miss jerseys are hideous. I got to check these out. I'm a big uniform guy. What are they wearing today? I thought that, so last night Iowa played UCLA, and UCLA with the absolute, like UCLA's blues, most beautiful uniform outside of Ohio State in college football to me. And, oh, you don't like these? I love these Ole Miss powder blues. So UCLA wore a version of these. They look similar to these Ole Miss ones, but way lighter, like way, way, way lighter. Powder. And I hated it. Absolutely hated it. But these ones I like. Do I got the Ole Miss helmet? So I like this helmet. They're wearing the white helmet today. It kind of looks like the Oilers a little bit, doesn't it? Look like the old Houston Oilers ensemble there. Grant loves these units. Ken says Will Howard gets happy feet when it's time to take off and run. He definitely gets, yeah, I can see that. Will Palmer says G. Scott is starting to look like a very good tight end. Rod says Georgia Tech owns Mario Cristobal. You know, what? That's 2 in a row, right? 2 in a row. You lost to Georgia Tech. That's a shame. That is a shame for Mario. It was looking like they were certainly going to go undefeated for a while there. And, you know, you don't just go into Bobby Dodd and think you're going to win, which is a really underrated stadium. I think Bobby Dodd is a really cool stadium. And Georgia coming out of the gate, sacking Jackson Dart. They came to play today, man. If this defense at Georgia puts on another performance like they did against Texas, look out, dude. Look out. Carson Beck sucks, but the fact that he threw 3 picks against Texas and they were still able to dominate as much as they did with that defense, and there they go again. They almost got to him again, and they caused a pick. Like, here we go. I can't believe I picked Ole Miss in this game. Like, I already feel stupid after one possession. Looks like the rain's really coming down there too. So Bucks got Northwestern next week, and that is going to be the Wrigley Field game, which I don't know how you guys feel, but I don't like it one bit. Last year we saw Iowa and Northwestern play there. The field was coming up in big chunks. It looks like an injury waiting to happen. We're talking about Ohio State's turf. I don't like it at all. I hope they got that fixed. Rod says Ole Miss is a fraud. Willie Palmer says Dart is limping bad, and that would be like curtains already. Oh, geez, I missed this, guys. Yeah, apparently Jackson Dart is limping really bad. Mika, how you doing, Mika? Jelani's big catch was good to see. Yeah, that was a really good catch. Sometimes he looks so excited to get in there when he's running that I feel like he's going to mess it up. Oh, wow. Oh, wow, you guys weren't kidding. Jackson Dart limping into the tent, and that looked bad, and he just whipped his helmet. And Georgia's going to come straight down and score. Wow. This is an elimination game for Ole Miss. We are going to see 3-loss teams make the playoffs. Like, that's going to happen. I took the current playoff system and ran it back on the last 25 years of results. And 51% of the time, there was a 3-loss team included in this system. 27% of the time, there was more than one 3-loss teams in this system that made it into the playoffs. This Ole Miss team has played an absolute dog crap schedule, dog crap out of conference. Even the SEC teams they've played have been the bottom half. This is not a team that can make it with 3 losses. They lose today, they're cooked, no matter how chaotic this gets. And I heard that as of Thursday, they still hadn't sold out Vaught Hemingway. They were not sold out for this game in Ole Miss, which was mind-blowing to me. This is like one of the biggest games they've had in years. Yes, Texas absolutely destroyed the Gators. It was 35-0 before halftime, fresh off the heels of their AD endorsing Bonehead Billy for another go-round, another year, which I couldn't believe it. Mika says, Josh Mickens sack. You called it. You called that? That's impressive, Mika. That is very impressive. Rutgers beat Minnesota, huh? I hadn't seen that one yet. When I watch the Buckeyes game, I tend to miss everything else going on and then have to kind of catch up later. Is there anybody that feels like Michigan could pull the upset today against Indiana? Michigan, a 2-touchdown. Dave, I'm furious about it. I really am. I'm furious for Florida fans. I think it's unacceptable because next year, I don't know if you guys saw, the really hard schedule we've been talking about this year. It's the same schedule. It's just, it flips the home and aways. So it's not getting any easier. This guy's not getting any better. And that performance after the vote of confidence is just like, it shows the staggering incompetence of that staff. And Jackson Dart going into the locker room. Lane is cooked, man. Lane is absolutely cooked. Wow. Ken asks, is it fair to say if this is a trap game for Indiana? I don't think so, Ken. And I don't think so because I think this is one they've had circled that they can finally, get a win against someone they think that they're going to get some respect from. So I think they're going to come into this as jacked up as Oregon did. And you could see how Dan Lanning with, I like Lanning and I think he does really good at motivating his guys. But I don't know if you saw the cheesy thing they did this week with, or last week with Gladiator, the no mercy, thumbs down. And then he had him, are you not entertained? And like, this is a 24-year-old movie, man. It's cheesy as hell. But they were really looking forward to going in and beating Michigan there because it is a big accomplishment to come into the Big Ten year one and take down Ohio State and Michigan. So I got it why it was such a big deal to them. But similar to that, I feel like Indiana has built this up as their opportunity to get a win against a big time team. The defending national champs, as bad as they still are that. And remember in his speech, he said, Purdue sucks and Michigan and Ohio State too. And he has the opportunity in the last 3 games of the season to beat Michigan, Ohio State, and Purdue, which would be one of the most amazing stories you've ever seen, right? Not going to happen for him. But to knock off 2 of the 3, that would be something. Dave thinks Dart is absolutely done. Chris, what's up, Chris? Chris says, what's up with Gus and the lack of enthusiasm when calling the Buckeye touchdowns? It's bizarre. Chris, I noticed this too. It was like he was calling a second down play. And gosh, for the things that he gets excited about, I thought it was weird. I did notice that as well. That was very interesting. Jason thinks Michigan can get upset with a lot of turnovers only. Andy, my man, Andy says, Andy says recent history would suggest that Ohio State wins championships with good but not great quarterbacks. In that context, Will Howard would be the best of the bunch. He legitimately has pro potential. And he's been big on the storyline this year of the Buckeyes and how they have set it up for the most amazing storyline, right? Everything about it coming together, the adversity they've already faced. It's all set up to be a wild story, just like the last one, an incredibly wild story, and that we should all take hope. That's a good omen. Steve agrees with Mika that Gabe Powers looked very good today. What's up, Steve, the Bluegrass Buckeye? How we doing, buddy? Oh, geez. Andy says, what's up with Gus's mustache? Doesn't he look like Giovanni Esposito, or is that his name? From Breaking Bad. From Breaking Bad, the drug dealer kingpin with the little mustache. It's hilarious. Disdained Rogues wants that field replaced this offseason before it costs us yet again. It's ridiculous, and these are things like we collectively need to continue to pound the drum about, and I'll not stop. It's absurd. You're Ohio State, man. You do not need to do cost-cutting measures, penny pinching measures on the playing surface. That's number one. You can pinch pennies elsewhere if things are tight in your $270 million athletic department. Number one in the country. Like, I think you can afford to have the best playing surface that's available. You just can. If you can't, something's really wrong with the way you're running things. Gus Fring. That's it. Gus Fring. Yeah. I picked Michigan plus 14 in this game on the Friday official Juckonbucks picks, which we are on a 7-game winning streak. And you guys can take advantage of those picks and some free money if you sign up at MyBookie with the promo code JUCK, where they will match your deposit 100% up to $1,000. Put in 500, you're going to play with 1,000. Even if you got a book already, nice to have two. You can withdraw a couple. Throw them over there. They're going to match your deposit. Why not? I'm also a huge fan. There's not too many shows that I can watch through an entire series. That is one that I sat down and just went all the way through. Game of Thrones too. Michigan's moving the ball easily on Indiana by running it, and that was the fear, right? Are they going to match up against a team that has, a couple more NFL guys than they're used to, and all of a sudden the talent gap becomes really evident? So we'll see. And Jackson Dart, as Ole Miss gets the ball, that is not him out there, is it, guys? No, it's not. Jackson Dart is out. Ole Miss is going to play their entire game with a backup, it appears. And that's not going to be good. That is not going to be good. Kyle B says that Davis Warren, Michigan's quarterback, is 5 of 6 for 64 yards. I don't have that game on in this quad box that's up here, and I don't got time to mess with it while I'm on the air. Maybe I could have done that when my microphone wasn't working. God, such an idiot. I don't know why you guys keep coming back. All right. Michigan on the board, 3-0, 5 minutes left in the first. This would be a huge win for Sherrone Moore, who, if he loses against Indiana and Ohio State, he's looking at a 6-6 season in year one. And the whole reason they brought him back was to keep some continuity and try to squeeze one more really good season out of the talent they got. But I'll be honest, they're really killing it in recruiting, doing really, really good. Up in the top 10. Steve says, too bad, Crazy Lane. I can't stand him. I know a lot of people who come around to really enjoy him, and he does some funny things. He's not quite as immature as he used to be. But I think he is just an absolute schmuck, man. I really do. I think he's a schmuck. Not someone I would ever root for. Thanks, Mika. Appreciate you. Michigan passing it all over Indiana to start the game. That is pretty wild. Definitely not what I expected, but I did think that last week we've seen Davis Warren, since they've gone back to him, looks like he is maturing a little bit. And, you might think that what they've been through this season, maybe they just would have been better sticking with that kid the whole time instead of playing the game that they played, going to Orgy, then going to Tuttle, then back to Davis Warren. Tuttle retires. Like, what a weird season. And obviously, you guys all know they're trying really hard to flip Bryce Underwood from LSU. They organized a big thing last night where they all went to his playoff game to show support with shirts they made up. Michigan needs Bryce. Oh, did I take a picture of that? I think I did. Let me see if I can pull that puppy up. It was pretty I don't know what I'm going to call it yet. I don't know if I have a name for that yet. Where is that sucker? Pathetic? I don't know. It might be pathetic. Is it going to pull up for me? I don't think it's going to. I'll load it in tomorrow's show. But tomorrow we will have our Sunday recap. We'll do a quick conversation with Dylan. As far as this Buckeyes game, it's not a ton to talk about, really. Not a ton to talk about. Everything was good. I was happy. Chris just had a live show bashing Miami. I popped in on the show later in the pregame. I did not hear any Miami bashing, but he was bashing SMU, which I pushed back on that because the truth is, Ole Miss scored. I'll be darned. 10-play, 75-yard drive. Ole Miss ties it up with Georgia. How about that? Indiana's got a cool stadium. I kind of like that little stadium. Oh, he just now did a quick 15-minute show, huh? I don't know why you just didn't hop on here with me. Okay. Yeah, we could have done that together. All right, guys. Well, that'll be it. I mean, I don't really have much more to say about the Buckeyes. Awesome performance. They did everything we would want them to. Looks like they came out of it healthy. Looks like we got to see a couple developments. The Jack, a couple of young guys playing good. Edric looked really good inside. And on to the next one. Northwestern. And that's that. I'll pop on with Dylan tomorrow. We'll see if he has any observations to talk about. Dylan and I will be here tomorrow at around 11. We usually do it. So if you guys want to pop in around 11 tomorrow, and we will discuss it then. And in the meantime, let's have a good time watching the rest of the college football. And I will check you guys out tomorrow. All right, Juckonbucks out. Thanks, guys. Hey, it's Juck.
Juck? Who the f- is Juck?
Juckonbucks.
Juckonbucks. Juckonbucks?
Juck.
Juckonbucks.
My guy, Juck.
Juckonbucks.
My buddy Juck.
Juck is the Juck.
It's Juckonbucks.
Okay. Juck is junk.
The Juck Eyes.
The Juck Eyes.
Juckonbucks.
Junk. Juck. Not junk. Juck.